Welcome back to Minecraft Wealthbuilding. We're in the second episode now. Let's see, where did we leave off last week? Just kind of talked about an overview, some random stuff. Talked about the credit card article that I had recently written, and now we're back to the Kingdom of Prosperio. We are building block by block, not only our knowledge but our world here. I think I had just gotten hit by a skeleton because it was on fire in the daylight. So I think I might be about to die. We'll see how it goes loading in here. That'd be really bad if episode 2 we can't speak. We load in and I'm already dead. Okay, come on. Let's not die. But yeah, this week I just want to talk about kind of what got me into investing. It's kind of a question that comes up a lot. It's like, I'm young, I'm 19. Why am I so passionate about this topic? But yeah, we're gonna go over that. See if I can condense that to 20 minutes. As always, D1 yapper, so shouldn't be a problem. Okay, don't die, please, please, please. Am I on fire? Why am I lagging so much? Why? Okay. Oh wait, I think I had set. Okay, let's see here. I gotta turn off the freaking. I had the thing off. I had to take a screenshot earlier. Let's see here. Wow, I am a very professional player at this game. Okay, we're not dead. That is elite. Doing great. Minute and a half in, barely alive. Doing good. Keep up the good work. Okay, day 2. We're here. We're out here. We're doing the thing. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, so the earliest investing memories I have is actually reading a book called Lawn Boy. By Gordon Corman, is about a kid who, fudge, I need an axe. It's about a kid who gets a riding lawnmower from I think it's from his grandma for Christmas. And he's just out there, he's like, why did I get a freaking riding lawnmower? Nobody wants this for Christmas. And turns out his neighbor sees him with the mower and says, hey, can you mow my yard for me? I'll pay you $20 or whatever. And he says, seems like a pretty good deal. I'll do that. And so he does it, goes in and mows the yard. And then another neighbor comes up and says, hey, I saw you mowing your, Bob's yard or whoever it was. Can you mow mine too? And, it kind of is a little embellished, of course, because, people these days, they're on their phones, probably on the freaking Nextdoor app or something, trying to get a lawnmower, not going and talking to the neighborhood kid, unfortunately. But I guess whenever this was written, that was more normal, or maybe it's just made up. I guess that's why it's realistic fiction. But he starts this little lawn mowing empire, and then he gets his cousin to ride the mower when he's trying to rest or sleep or whatever. And then he gets a second mower, I believe, and then he expands into like raking and weeding and weed eating and these other kind of verticals, these other business verticals. And it's very fun because he kind of they don't talk about compounding, but it is compounding. You go from the first mower, and then by the end of the first book, I think he has a whole team of people. He has like multiple people on his crew. They're all doing different jobs. They're doing different houses. They have like 30 clients or something. Turns out like the guy who used to mow all the yards for the area of town that he lives in like had quit, and there was some sort of weird situation going on. Hold on, let me cook up all this meat real quick. Also, what are we gonna do? I can't live in this hole. I gotta go find a place to live. I think maybe I'll get some food, and then, well, I kind of like the idea of having a little bit of a shelter by spawn. So maybe I'll go build a little hut in the mountainside over there. But yeah, by the end of the first book, he's got all this stuff. He's got a team. He's got a crew. There's actually a second book where it gets like even crazier. Like he gets like he like sponsors like a wrestler, like a sumo wrestler or something. I don't know. It gets real weird. And then he ends up becoming a millionaire at like age 15. And the whole time his goal was to make enough money to pay for a new bike, which is ironic because my brother is 15. All he wants to do is buy a dirt bike. I'm sure he wishes he could make $1 million mowing yards. Obviously, that's not super realistic, but the compounding effect hit me from a young age. I think I was like 9 or 10 years old. Let's see, how are we doing on the ravine here? Get some magma down there. That's weird. I'm gonna go get that copper. Um, but it was the power of compounding, and I don't know why, but it hooked me. And ever since then, it's like, okay, this compounding stuff. Let's learn about this, because compounding is super powerful. And let's not die. And it works in every way. So if you want to get stronger, you go to the gym, and bit by bit, you learn how to get stronger and more fit. If you want to lose weight, you eat a little bit healthier every day, or you track your calories, and it kind of slowly happens. And it's the same with, of course, investing. Is compounding is just the eighth wonder of the world. It's magical, and anybody who's benefited from it will speak its praises, and anybody who's had a student loan that has compounded against them will tell you how bad it is. But it is nonetheless very powerful. Another early kind of childhood thing that I remember is just kind of, this was like, ooh, this investing stuff. What's going on with this investing stuff? Was a board game called Cash Flow, and everybody's probably played Monopoly at some point. Go around the board, get your more coal fun. Get your properties, get a railroad or whatever, get that rent money, and that's all fun and games. But it's not super in depth, right? You don't have a tenant who's like destroying your property, or can't really buy stocks or bonds or anything. You can't buy a business. It's just rental stuff. Well, Cash Flow is like Monopoly on steroids. That's the best way I can describe it. It is just more details, way more depth. There's 2 tracks. There's the rat race, where you go round and around a little circle, and you get your salary, and you land on doodads, like you buy a new boat or you buy a new TV, this consumerism lifestyle that exists. And then you have I think it's I can't remember, it's like the rich circle or track or whatever, and that's where you're a business owner and you can buy full businesses, and it's basically like the entrepreneur investor track. And that's real wealth. You're not doing the consumerism stuff anymore. Now you're selling the consumerism stuff. Come on, copper. Oh, bugs. Come on. And I remember playing that with my dad in the family living room when I was like probably 11. And I remember my very first game. I remember it very specifically because I actually didn't win. I went bankrupt. Which is possible in this game. I was a police officer, and the salary, you get to choose a career at the beginning of the game, or I think you got automatically assigned. That was probably what it was. But I got a police officer, and each profession came with different set of debt. So different levels of consumerism. So like if you're the lawyer, you made a lot of money, but you also had a lot of credit card bills. You had maybe a more expensive car payment, that kind of thing. It kind of matched the assumptions for that career. Well, the police officer didn't have a lot of debt. Also didn't have any college loans or anything because I think it was either paid for, he didn't go to college or something of that nature. And he didn't have a lot of debt, but he also had a very low salary. Okay, let's not die to a creeper. Oh yeah, sure, just blow up. That's fine. Okay, wait. Okay, thank you, Mr. Creeper. But the police officer had a very low. Okay, why more of these guys? Really? Okay, I'm not messing with that. The police officer had lower debt because he didn't have a consumerism lifestyle, but he also didn't make any money. And so I remember landing on all these doodads and having to make all these payments and getting into debt and doing all the loan stuff, and I couldn't afford assets. I just couldn't get ahead. I couldn't buy a property when I landed on it. Okay, whoa, what's going on here? Why am I getting wrecked by what's? Okay, I'm not going back in there. I don't care if there's iron. Go away. Yeah, that's a great example, by the way, of how it felt in the game. I just can't get ahead. Got all these guys coming up after me. I really should have prepared more for this ravine. I have like 3 durability left. I'm a good Minecraft player. But the police officer, didn't make a lot of money, didn't have enough money to buy hard assets, so I would land on the tile where I had the opportunity to buy a stock, and I didn't have enough money to. I remember one time I bought like 50 shares of this one company that came up in the deck, and it went up a bunch, but I had only bought a couple shares, so I couldn't really benefit from it as much as my dad could when he was playing. So that was kind of a striking moment of like, wait, if I want to make money, you make money from your job, but you build wealth through investing and through assets that work for you. You're never gonna earn your way to actual wealth and financial freedom. You can make a lot of money, to be sure, but you're never going to be able to retire. You're always going to be going after the next paycheck. If you really want to have financial freedom, not have to work for a living, but have your money work for you, you're going to have to own assets. And so that was a very good thing to learn from a young age. And I remember after that game, I got a little bit better. I started to figure out, okay, well, I need to buy this and not that. When I was earlier in the game, buy more stocks. Don't buy the CD, the certificate of deposit, which is a safer asset. It's good for keeping your wealth, but it's not good for growing it. And those are things that I still think about, nowadays. Obviously, I'm on a deeper scale with more assets and more things to deal with. There's a lot more stocks out there, right? Even just within the stock world, you have your defensive stocks, your growth stocks, your penny stocks, what have you. And those all have different risks and different rewards associated with them. But, I remember all of that, and it was like, oh, this is interesting, because I'm not a hard worker. Like, I can be a hard worker, but I'm also very lazy. Like, I want to wake up and have my stocks pay for my lifestyle. I don't really want to have to work until, forever and always. Maybe I'll have a job that I love. Shout out financial planning. But, I want to do that job because I want to, and I want to be able to serve clients who I want to serve, not just chase after that rich guy who maybe is an a-hole. I'm not trying to get demonetized or whatever, but, I want to work with people I want to work with. If I want to work with somebody who's not going to pay me as much, I will be able to say yes to that person because I have assets that are, providing for me in the background. But yeah, wait, hold on. It's getting dark. I am evacuating to the nearest safe zone. Cave. Okay, this is interesting. Doesn't seem to be anything too bad back here. Let's set up shop, shall we? Furnace. Crafting table. And let's go ahead and smelt up some iron. Get some iron going there. Get some torches. Okay, torches. Cool. But yeah, so that game, it's actually by Robert Kiyosaki, who also wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I read about 6 years ago. He's a very interesting character. His book is very famous. Famous investor. He's also pretty sure he's bankrupt now, billions of dollars bankrupt, because his whole thing was go into debt, get a bunch of real estate, and that works great until you have a cash flow problem, which is sort of ironic considering he wrote this, he did the cash flow game. But, why did I go out here? I'm done. Get out. Go. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he's bankrupt now, but that's okay. Still a lot of wisdom that he provided. Come on, skeleton. Go away. I'm not trying to die right now. Nope. Denied. Goodbye. Anyway, the next kind of foundational thing that I consumed, read or heard when I was younger is super nerdy. Probably somebody young people have actually not heard of. I was talking to a college student the other day, seeing as how I'm in college, who had never heard of Dave Ramsey before, and I realized a lot of people actually haven't. I think he's more well known in the college or in the Christian circles, of course, but yeah, I mean, even older adults who aren't necessarily Christian or Christian affiliate or anything know who Dave Ramsey is, but not the college students, because, or if they do know him, it's because he's yelling at people for I don't know, being broke or whatever. So that's fun. But yeah, Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. I listened to that when I was about 11, 12. I'd be going to bed at night, and he just cracked me up, which is insane. I know that makes me sound like I'm a boomer by age 10, but he was funny. He had this one story that I remember very vividly about going. Hold on, whoop, bloop, go away. Ooh, gold helmet. Okay. And so the Financial Peace University course that he had it was on CD actually. It was taped in front of an audience, right? So that was kind of his whole thing. He would go give these seminars for people, and he would go and speak. And so he'd tell stories. He'd talk about, here's what you need to do to be successful in investing, yada, 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 invest in this, don't buy this, do buy this, etc. One of his stories was talking about buying an appliance at a hardware store. Think of Lowe's or Home Depot. Oh, no. Did they change the UI for these guys? Why is his face so freaking big? And so he told this story about going to a hardware store. I guess it must have been back in the 80s or the 90s or something when he was first getting started. And the sales rep tried to sell him on a warranty by saying, Dave Ramsey buys warranties on stuff. And I know that's not the funniest thing, and he told it better than I did. But I just thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. And he's a funny guy, especially if you got that old man humor. But I like his ideas. I liked his points even when I was a young kid. And it's very simple stuff. He has a famous interview where he says that he just talks about what your grandma would talk about. Spend less than you make, try to increase your earnings, and then save what you can, invest what you can. Not all of Dave's, advice is like good necessarily. He gives some advice where I'm like, oh, that's not what I would do. But he's not. I mean, obviously, it's personal finance. Everything needs to be adjusted. He can't give out individualized advice for everybody in the world. He kind of has to do with what he can. And so he just gives out the best, general advice. But he's definitely great at getting people out of debt. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, that's kind of the foundational books, things that I read and consumed. There's another book. This is such a deep pull. I don't even remember who wrote this, but it's about the California and Alaskan gold rush. It's one of those like trailblazer books or something like that, where it's like kind of a textbook, but it was interesting and written really well, so I really liked it. Again, big nerd. And I just liked the points of the people making the money in those gold rushes were not the miners, but it was the people selling shovels. And there's another book called The Copper Kings of Montana, actually. I think written by the same people. I know this is super random, all these mining stuff, but it's very illustrative of business and of investing, because all these mining companies, they all wanted to go get rich, but only the ones that were slow, made good decisions, and had a sustainable business actually got wealthy. So that's kind of my takeaway from that. It's like, well, you're going to get rich not by going for gold and chasing after every single little opportunity, but by kind of slowly making good decisions and slowly accumulating wealth. Kind of like what Dave Ramsey was saying, where it's like, okay, just spend a little bit less than you make and save the difference. Anyway, I'm going to end it off for there. I know I did like nothing in the world. I built nothing. Got about killed like 3 times. We just getting assaulted by zombies today. Oh, this guy. Okay, go away, buddy. Go away. I really want to actually build a hut or something so I can say I have actual progress. But you know what? It's like that investing too. Sometimes you just don't have any progress. Those copper leggings can go away too. And that fire charge. Let's go use that to get rid of this. Boom. I'm very smart. But yeah, so that's just kind of that's episode 2. Again, very rambly. Probably nobody watched this. Maybe my mom. Hi, Mom, if you're listening. But helpful for me to kind of reminisce and figure out where things started. So yeah, see you next time.